Kiwis are trickling across the ditch now that the one-way bubble is in place, but they're also appearing in states not signed up to the travel bubble, including Victoria, South Australia and WA. South Australia's Premier, Stephen Marshall, says 3 people arrived from New Zealand over the weekend and a further 2 landed at Adelaide Airport this morning. Well, joining me now is Adelaide's Lord Mayor, Sandy Verschoor. Sandy, thanks for joining us this evening. Gosh, this must be pretty frustrating, is it?
In terms of frustrating, I think, we are all trying to do our best and the rules are constantly changing. South Australia is not yet part of the travel bubble with New Zealand. That's only New South Wales and the Northern Territory. But of course, we can't wait for that to be us as well so that we can welcome visitors from New Zealand.
But at the moment, they are, wobbling across state lines when they shouldn't be. What concerns do you have about that?
Well, as Premier Marshall said, the protocols were observed at the airports when the passengers came in, and as a result, they've been placed into quarantine through the Medi-hotels. I think people really need to do their homework because all of the rules are constantly changing. People need to be up with the latest. There are border restrictions throughout Australia, and which could possibly be a little bit confusing for people. So they have to do their homework. At the moment, it is only between New Zealand and the Northern Territory or New South Wales. And of course, once you're in Australia, then all the other border controls need to be paid attention to. So the Kiwis have entered through New South Wales. They may not have known that actually is what happens once they come to the country. We, of course, in Adelaide, we've been a sister city with Christchurch for nearly 50 years. We are hopeful that there will be a travel bubble between ourselves and New Zealand. And, of course, we just ask people to be mindful, to really look at the rules, make sure they understand what restrictions are in place, because we are all working to contain this globally and we need to be very mindful of putting other people at risk.
Sandy, are you giving these visiting New Zealanders the benefit of the doubt? Do you think that they've made a mistake or don't know the rules, or they've just thought, I can slide this one past the goalie?
Well, not having spoken to them personally, I will always give people the benefit of the doubt. What I do know that is our system here in South Australia works very, very well. The Premier did actually do a press conference this afternoon and he has spoken to what is now in place with those visitors that have come in, but the protocols were observed. So, in terms of how the state is working, we're very happy that has worked well in this case. But again, we do ask people to be mindful that the border restrictions are still in place.
So, Sandy, what are those protocols? I mean, did these people self-identify or were they, in essence, picked up at the airport?
Well, I think in terms of people coming into the airport, everybody is asked to identify, say, where they've travelled from, how long they've been there. These are all the normal protocols. And the passengers that came in, went through those protocols and were identified in that way. And
where are they now? So they get shuffled off to isolation, do they?
So they're in a Medi-hotel, so they'll complete their quarantine in terms of the arrangements that our state government has in place in terms of any international travels and quarantine. Of course, I imagine that there will be further conversations in terms of before people depart from New South Wales or Northern Territory to make sure that they understand that the protocols are in place.
Yeah, because that's the interesting thing, isn't it? You pick them up, they've been picked up when they landed, like the 2 that have landed in Adelaide. One wonders if the system is working at the other end when they got on the plane to come to you. Nobody asked any questions.
Without being there, I don't know. But, I think Australians are all very mindful of what protocols are in place and what borders are open, what aren't. And we like everyone else, we're checking on a very regular basis because we all have family and friends around Australia and around the world so that we understand what those restrictions are. But, we have been very, very lucky here, as you have been in New Zealand, by our governments working very diligently to contain the infection and keep everybody safe, and we want that to continue. So again, I would ask people to just be mindful and make sure that they do the right thing by themselves and by everybody else.
Yeah, so Sandy, just to be clear, in terms of your message, people who know the rules and know they shouldn't be coming to Adelaide or anywhere in South Australia, what would you say to New Zealanders who think, well, I'm just going to give it a crack?
I'd say, please don't. It's, look, I just think, we are in... we are in such an interesting place globally, and if New Zealand and Australia do the right things, then we are both countries that are doing exceptionally well, and I'd like us to stay that way. So rather than people flaunt the rules, and there'll always be people that will give it a crack, but please don't. And if they come to South Australia, we hope it's in better times when we've got that travel bubble open and we can welcome them with open arms.
So the travel bubble that exists at the moment, it's been marketed as a safe travel bubble. I'm wondering, do you think it is a safe bubble if this is what's going on, if you're getting people coming to your state when they shouldn't be?
Well, I think that's whenever the bubbles, if we're going to call them that, whenever there are liftings of restrictions, then everybody works through what that means. As I said, I haven't spoken to them personally. I can't say whether this was on purpose or by mistake. I just ask people to really check the rules and make sure that they are up to date with whatever the latest restrictions are. We do ask them to be mindful that South Australia does have border restrictions, and we are currently not part of the travel bubble with New Zealand, so they have to wait a bit longer for that to happen.
Really appreciate your time this evening. That is Adelaide's Lord Mayor, Sandy Verschoor there.